Hi everyone, I'm Allison Cope and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be using the very adorable Elodie from Sweet November Stamps. And she's one of our new Galentine's digital images. And I have paired her with this cute little wooden stump. And today we're going to color her and her little wooden land all up in Copic Markers. So let's get started. I've already chosen my 5 Copic markers, and we're going to start with adding kind of a purpley base to any of the areas that indicate that they have a deep dark shadow. So I'm going around under her bangs, under her chin, under her arms, and even down her legs. And if you look closely at the image, she actually has a see-through skirt. So I'm actually coloring her legs like I would completely through that skirt. So I'm going to actually take some blending solution and lighten that up under her skirt just to indicate that it's a little bit fuzzier in color. So we are working on our second lightest, and basically I'm just blending all of those darker colors that we previously put on the image, and want to do her face and her arms and her legs all at the same time. It's just so much easier than having to come back to them. The final color here is not quite dark enough for me, so I'm using the tip to tip technique where I touch the lighter color to the darker color, in this case that second shade of skin color there, and just using it to make a more medium tone just to accentuate that color of her skin. So now we are working away at her hair color. So I'm looking at the hair and trying to find anywhere that the shadows are going to be in her hair. So anything that tucks under, tucks behind something, like that little bouquet that's in her hair. And I'm putting down my darkest color. Then I'm taking my medium tone, which is in my hand right now, and I'm going across that dark tone and kind of extrapolating it up. And this gives us the mid-tone in the hair. And then finally, our light tone is, you're going to, I guess there is, we're going to darken it up a little bit. I guess it wasn't quite dark enough in comparison to her skin tone, and I wanted to make it a little bit different. So I'm actually going in and accentuating any of those darker places in her hair. And then we'll go back and blend with a lighter color. If you want to lose some of the brush marks, go over your image, whatever you've colored, say her hair, in the lighter tone, and what it does is it blends kind of everything a little bit better, and you lose those brush marks. But sometimes you want brush marks in hair, so just be careful how many times you go over. There we go. We're done her hair. Now we're going to work on her clothing. We're using an RV series of markers this time. We're starting at our darkest. And again, I'm looking for any areas that might be in shadow, might be tucked under something, might have a fold, anything that denotes a shadow. Then I'm taking our medium tone and I'm going over top of that dark marker and blending it out a little bit. And then finally, our light tone, we're going over everything, just completely covering it all, and that makes everything blend and complete. Now we're going to work on her skirt. Now, the artist in this case has indicated that her skirt is sheer, because you can see the folds over top of her legs, and you can see the legs through the skirt. So therefore it's indicating that it's sheer. So we're going in with a really, really light color, and I'm going right over top of that leg that's showing through that skirt. And this is going to help not only add just a slight tone of that pink see-through skirt, but it's also going to push whatever's under that skirt, as far as her skin is concerned, back a little bit. So it's going to push it into the paper and lighten it ever so much. And I've also taken in my Zero, or the blender, and I'm also pushing some more of that leg and even her tushy back into the paper, so it lightens it a little bit. All right, we're on to the cute little Stump here. I've taken our darkest of our triple marker combo, and I'm accentuating any of those grooves. The artist has told you basically where they are. So what you're going to do is you're going to make them fatter. Any place where a shadow is going to fall, we're also darkening that up as well, mainly along the bottom edge where that stump meets the grass or whatever, the ground. So we're just making all of those areas fatter. Then we're going to take in our medium tone, and we're going to fatten those lines up even more. So what this does is just basically we're putting that medium tone in around any of those grooves or drop marks. We're extending our color up into any of that texture. So again, we're widening and even adding some medium tone texture. So I'm still going over top of that darkest brown marker, but I'm also including some more texture by making some dotty spotty lines, some just points of color, and I'm just continuing to add more texture to that stump. Now we haven't touched the top of the stump. This is all just the bark that we're working on, just fattening up those lines. So anywhere where you think there's going to be a little bit more shade, you can add a little bit more of this medium tone. Now I have a sentiment that's kind of buried in that stump, so I'm not coloring completely over top because I want to leave it lighter and more easily seen. So now we're taking our lightest Copic marker and I'm literally going over everything. I'm not being picky. We're not really truly blending. We're just getting that color all across that stump. Now notice I've also left the sentiment. So we're going to go in with one more really light color and finish off that area. So now we're going to do the top of the stump. We're going to go a little bit lighter because when you cut off a tree, it's much lighter generally on the inside than it is for the bark. So I'm laying down anywhere where I think there is going to be a shadow due to her bum or her wings or her feet. And I'm also tracing over the artist's lines for the grain. Now we're taking that medium tone, blending it out, and just accentuating the bark wing around the edge at the back there. There we go. Our stump is all done. We're going to go back to our little Galentine here, and we're going to color in some detail into her wings. Now the artist has left the wings fairly simple, so you can have fun and create a design within those wings. So I'm basically doing that using my darker pink markers, and I'm just having fun putting a design on her wings. You also want to make sure that you do relatively the same design on the wing that's tucked behind her as well. Now in this case, I'm assuming that her wings are not clear or transparent, that they are opaque, and I'm coloring them so. All right, it's onto the ground. We're going really super easy with this one. We're laying down a base color. Because sometimes when you have a very large area, it's so much easier just to go full on base color, just get that ink on that paper. And this will also aid in making sure that things go smooth. So we're coming in and accentuating any of the shadows that the roots are going to cast. And I'm being spotty dotty and just adding a little bit of texture as I go. I'm going to blend this. So I'm not really worried about my brush marks right now. We're going in and deepening that shadow again. Contrast is key when you're coloring with Copics. To make your scenes kind of come to life, you really truly need the darks in your work. It's very hard at first to really teach yourself to go really dark and use those dark colors, but try it, because you can always, it's just paper, you can always do it again. Now I'm keeping my sky really, really clean. I didn't want to actually go and put a blue or make a actual cloudy sky, anything to that effect. So I chose kind of a muted greeny gray. And what I did is I went and outlined her all the way, and any gaps that were around her body, under her knees, things like that, and I filled them in. And then I went back and I'm basically making a pointillism background. So I'm doing all kinds of different sizes of dots with this very same Copic marker. And that's it. It's a really easy way to do a simple sky background. And here's our final card. And isn't she adorable? She's one of 4 new Galentines that are now in the Sweet November Stamps shop. Feel free to check them all out, and I'll have more goodies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks!